A 16-year-old girl who fell more than 15 metres from a cliff in the Whitnum National Park remains in intensive care in Royal Perth Hospital tonight. Natasha Maddock was flown to Perth last night following a 3-hour operation to retrieve her from a remote area near Joffrey Falls, 130 kilometres from Tom Price. Finding better ways to help victims of child sexual abuse and their families. That's the main function of the Child Abuse Unit touring the state, teaching community employees how to work together and better cope with child abuse cases. The Child Abuse Unit was formed in 1988 to implement the recommendations of a state government task force.
The task force was formed in 1986 to look at the growing problem of sexual abuse of children. The aim of the task force was to find ways to better protect children from being harmed and to prevent child abuse from occurring in the first place. One of the recommendations of the task force is to provide better training of workers in the field.
And it's in that stage where workers have maybe gone through tertiary education and haven't received a lot of input in that area. So we're really updating people and getting them in touch with the knowledge they already have.
The Child Abuse Unit will spend the next 2 months visiting regions around the state, showing agencies how to provide a better service and to cope with specific problems such as cultural differences.
They have different issues, I think, because of the distance and isolation, and again, the fact that many services are located in the metropolitan area, and so therefore they don't have access to them. But the issues for sexual abuse are very similar.
The unit will assess the need for further education programs in June when the training sessions have been completed. Marcia Morash, Golden West Network News.
The State Energy Commission next week will release its environmental review document for a coal-fired power station near Collie. The Collie station is one of several options being considered to meet power demands in the mid-90s. SEQA says this review is part of its normal planning process, that if the Collie station is chosen over the other options, the Commission will be in a position to quickly implement the program. The decision on the location and fuel for the estate's next power station is expected to be made towards the end of this year. The document can be expected at the Collie and Bunbury public libraries. Meantime, the Environmental Protection Authority has been disappointed by a poor response to its report on pollution in Albany's Princess Royal and Oyster Harbours. So far, the EPA has received only about 30 public submissions. It's warned people who want clean harbours in Albany to have their say.
When the Harbours report was released earlier this year, there was an air of expectation. Something was about to be done to clean up Albany's harbours. But before the EPA's Technical Advisory Committee made its final recommendations, the public was given 8 weeks to either support or reject the report. With only a handful of submissions in, the EPA says the public should snap out of its apathy.
That just makes it very difficult for us to present a convincing case that there is a major community concern about the problems in the harbours. And we're trying to say that they don't have to know about the technical aspects. What they certainly have a right and they should have an opinion on what they want for the harbours in the future.
The public comment period closes next week. With a last-minute trip to Albany, the EPA is hoping to stir people into action. In the words of Dr Simpson, people should remember politicians react to public pressure.
Oh, well, we hope to have a lot more than the 30-odd that we've got so far. You know, the more the better.
He says the EPA will report to the government with final recommendations by June 30. Paul Tranter, Golden West Network News.
Mines Minister Jeff Carr is expected to meet the Trades and Labour Council on Monday to discuss the latest row over radiation exposure in the mineral sands industry. The TLC has lashed out at the Mines Department over its decision allowing 2 companies to use a different method to measure levels of exposure among workers. The TLC claims the department hasn't addressed the problem and should have waited for the findings of an inquiry by the Mines Radiation Safety Board. Proposed changes to federal sales tax laws could have a severe effect on mining companies and related industries across Western Australia. That's the warning by a chartered accountant to mining industry delegates on the goldfields. The accountant says a proposed new ruling by the tax office could increase the cost of some capital equipment by as much as 20%.
At the moment, there are no hard and fast rules determining tax concessions available to mining, exploration and prospecting companies and related service industries. In many cases, the tax office has been lenient on allowing exemptions. The draft ruling is designed to clear up the confusion. If implemented, companies will not be able to claim tax exemptions on items that aren't directly related to mining activities, such as construction of non-haulage access roads, tailings dumps, administration and employee amenities.
Up until recently, the tax office has accepted that those things can be regarded as being used in mining operations, but in this ruling now they're clearly saying that in the future that won't be the case. It means effectively that there'll be a 20% increase in the price that they'll be having to pay for their capital equipment used in those situations.
On invitation from the Kalgoorlie-Boulder Chamber of Commerce, independent accountant Brian Cleaver addressed mining delegates in Kalgoorlie-Boulder this week, providing a detailed explanation of the draft report, explaining that the period for public comment ends on May 11, urging those companies affected to speak up.
Yes, they should take steps, in my view, to ascertain what the Commissioner's draft ruling is going to do to them. If it's going to hurt, then I think it's in their interest to make some inquiries and to see what they can do about it.
Mr Cleaver says there's a real chance the ruling could be modified if sufficient arguments are put forward. Natalie Barr, Golden West Network News.
The Australian dollar fell nearly 1 American cent today following increased offshore selling. Market analysts say investors are offloading the currency because of concern that the dollar will fall even further. Elsewhere on the domestic stock exchange, trading was subdued. The All Ordinaries dropped 6 points, industrials 10 and the gold index 7. Oil and gas edged up 4 points. At the Perth Mint, the price of gold climbed $5.40, while in Hong Kong the price remained steady. As we mentioned, the Aussie dollar fell sharply. It closed at 75.28 US cents. This is Friday's regional news. Ahead on GWN as we take a break, another shipload of sheep rejected by the Saudis and a Navy ship called in to patrol the northwest coastline.